Welcome back to What's New in the Lou with Alexis Zotos, presented by Kaldi's Coffee. This is your can't miss weekly podcast helping you stay in the know in St. Louis. We're talking the new restaurants, the can't miss events, and of course, and most importantly, the people that continue to make St. Louis the best place to live and visit. Now, stick around to the end because we always bring you a calendar of events so you know exactly what is happening across St. Louis this week. And there is never a shortage of events to put on that calendar, especially when it comes to the arts, because we have an incredible art scene in St. Louis, specifically jazz. And that's why I'm thrilled for our guest this week. Adaron Jackson is with Jazz St. Louis. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
30 years of Jazz St. Louis, that's a big milestone year.
It is a huge milestone year. And what it is for me, I'm from East St. Louis originally, so from the St. Louis area. So I think about what Jazz St. Louis was in the 90s and what it is now. And it's such a vast change. It's really amazing.
How long have you been with the organization?
I started in the organization about 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago.
Okay. How long have you been in the jazz world?
Oh, for a long time, right? So I was first exposed to jazz in high school. And so from then on, it's been that way. So, I mean, you're talking about, I'm 46, so it's been a while.
It's been a minute.
It's been a little bit.
I want to hear a little bit more about your background with that connection to jazz first, and then we're going to dive more into this sort of milestone year. But do you remember that sort of first experience with jazz, that moment that your eyes opened up to that genre of music?
I do. For me, it was the feeling, like it is for a lot of people, to be in this space, to be in this kind of collective musical environment, with improvisation, but also experiencing and feeling these things that cannot be written down on paper, that were never intended to be, in terms of Black American music being an oral art form.
Yeah.
That is the difference between that and other forms of music, is that you cannot write this down. You can't write how it's supposed to feel.
Does that make it harder to learn, to teach? Not necessarily to experience, but like almost, does that make it a little more difficult?
I don't think so. It's a different way to teach. It's a different way to learn than what we're used to. That doesn't necessarily make it harder. It just means that we have to make ourselves more of a student of it, in terms of what is the cultural connection to it.
When did you sort of find your path in this music? I mean, did you know right off the bat, I want to do something within the arts, within music, within jazz? Or what was your sort of trajectory to where you are now?
So for me, it started when my mother brought home a piano. She bought a piano and had my father and his friends bring it to the house. And she was like, everyone's taking lessons.
Love it. We love it.
And my mother never played music, but my grandmother did a little bit. And so I had some family members that did. But this was kind of a surprise. Her thinking was, you're going to be involved in something, you're going to do something. And so at 9 years old, I started the piano. And it quickly kind of just took over my life. Of my siblings, I'm the only one that still is in music. When we got to high school, my mother was like, you can choose whatever you want to do. And others went to sports, others went to all kinds of things. And I stayed with this. So in high school, it became, kind of pretty clear that was going to be the thing for me. And then I went on to college.
And now here you are with Jazz St. Louis in a new role. I don't want to mess it up. Interim Co-Executive Director.
That is correct.
Lots of words there. But what does that mean at the heart of it for you? What does this role mean to you?
So it means that I oversee all programming. It means that from education to community engagement to all artistic programming. So everything that happens on the stage and the production, the box office and everything, all involved with that. And so it means, honestly, the touch point for how we engage with the community.
Yeah.
All community, students, patrons, from young to old.
How important is Jazz St. Louis to our community as a whole?
there are so many institutions in St. Louis, cultural art institutions, I think are important, and Jazz St. Louis fits at the top along with them. So Jazz St. Louis is the third largest jazz nonprofit in the country.
Wow.
So not only
I know a lot of things.
so not only are we important to the city,
Mhm.
I think we're important to the national landscape of
Absolutely.
what jazz is. So we have this organization that started out as just jazz, right? Is this kind of intimate club kind of place to hear music. And then that started at the Hotel Majestic. Forgive me if I'm talking too much.
Keep
But
talking.
I'm just
We love it. We don't want anyone
about-
not to talk on the podcast. Thanks for a very dull interview. Keep going. Give us all the history.
Well, yeah, so because the
nitty-gritty.
history is how we get
Yeah.
to like how important it is to the area,
Mhm.
right? So like it starts in the 90s, right? The early 90s, and it's at the Hotel Majestic downtown, which is, across from the big AT&T building.
Okay.
And so it's an L-shaped bar.
Hmm.
And I remember going
Oh, really?
when I was a kid. The band would be in the corner. There's a mirror up above it, so you can kind of see like all line sights for this L-shaped bar. And it's just in the bar of the hotel. Well, it's there until the hotel changes ownership, and I think that was in 95.
Okay.
And at which time it moved to the Grand Center Arts District, where, it currently sits now. And the building used to be a KFC that Jazz St. Louis is in now, like a
Really?
Pope's cafeteria and stuff. It was all kinds of things. Someone told me it was a car dealership at one time back in the day.
That feels random, but hey, okay.
It's crazy. And so it's Jazz at the Bistro. It changes the name, Jazz at the Bistro, which honestly, I slip up from time to time. And
A
call
lot
it
of people
that.
still think of it as that. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was the name of it, And so Jazz at the Bistro, as what that series is, it's popular, it's regional, it's national, it's international, it's gaining traction. Well, Barbara Rose, the woman who started Just Jazz, dies in 98, which is the same year that it became a nonprofit.
Okay.
So a 501c3.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets its board, its leadership, and then it starts to expand everything that's doing. Because, before then it was really about presenting the music. Then that happens, then it gets to be, okay, what can we do for the community? How can we be in the community? How can we touch the community in different ways? So then their education programs start to expand, they get into community engagement as parts of the mission and what they're doing, And so then, I believe it was 06 that Jazz St. Louis is born.
You have your dates and your timelines right. Now you're like right on the money there.
Am I?
I don't know.
I had to think about it
so.
for a second. I'm not either. So I believe it was 2006 that Jazz St. Louis reorganizes its name to Jazz St. Louis, which is why I have problems with it because, when I was in college in the late 90s and 2000s, I was there. It was Jazz at the Bistro.
Yeah.
So
That's what you hold those memories.
I do.
Dear.
All night long hanging with the artists. It was a great time.
But you have some stories there.
That's for another podcast. But so we continue on. And actually, it's at this point, right, the 2000 to 2010s, that Jazz St. Louis is getting more and more national recognition as a leader in nonprofit arts. And so we go through all that. And then 2014 is the Harold and Dorothy Stewart Center for Jazz, which sees Jazz St. Louis in what that footprint was and the adjacent building now combined for one.
Yeah.
And so we have an education space. We have the Farian Jazz Bistro, which is rated one of the top jazz clubs in the country. And so that's how Jazz St. Louis got to be so important to St. Louis, because we can't do all of that without the support of St. Louis.
Sure.
We can't do it without the people that come, the hundreds of people who subscribe, the hundreds and thousands of people who come to the show, throughout the.
How often are you getting people who are new to jazz coming in? We have people, I imagine, many of your patrons, they're big jazz supporters. But what is it like for you to watch somebody, whether they're being brought by a date or, grandparents bring their teenagers, like seeing someone experience jazz for the first time in your space?
It's amazing. to me, because I remember that time, right? And more than anything, the music, it's based in community, right? It's a collective uh, improvisational journey, right? It's all about elevating the synergy of the group. So the audience is a part of that. So be it young or old, and I see people all the time who are bringing kids who have never been, or teenagers who have never been, or kind of interested, or people who do come on a date because they saw a picture and they like the way the inside looks.
Yeah, it's a great date atmosphere.
Exactly. Or people who are traveling through town and just want something to do, or people who are older and now find themselves as transplants to St. Louis. Wherever they are, they never got a chance to experience music on this level at this frequency.
USA Today readers have named Kaldi's Coffee the best coffee chain for the second year in a row. Since 1994, Kaldi's Coffee has built its reputation on thoughtful sourcing, careful roasting, and warm, consistent service that shows up in every cup. It's an honor earned through daily dedication to quality. Explore Kaldi's best blends and find your cafe at kaldiscoffee.com. When you talk about Jazz St. Louis to people, it's one of those things where I think we get this a lot in St. Louis, where we are recognized on a national stage for a lot of our arts and culture programs. And yet here in St. Louis, people almost take it for granted. They don't realize what we have in our backyard. And yet there are people that are, you're like, yes, there are people that are coming from out of town that are coming in just to experience what you are putting on. How do you address that? I don't know if it's an issue per se, but that aspect of St. Louis.
I think it's an issue. I mean, this town is full of world-class things. And a lot of those things are presented at no cost. I mean, from the art museum, which is tops, to the zoo, which is tops, to botanical garden tops. The Muni gives away free tickets to every show. They have to, right? And, Jazz St. Louis provides all of our education and community programs at no cost to the participant, young or old. There are quite a few people who don't know these things in this city. I don't know how to quite address that, other than that we continue to put the word out. We continue to be involved. We continue to be in community, right? Because community engagement is an act, but community is a state of being. And to be in all of these places to let people know that Jazz St. Louis is here, and it is here for you, and it belongs to you, and we need you. And so I would love for everyone in this town to know about Jazz St. Louis, but I know we have some work to do.
Okay, so right now, someone listening is like, you know what? I love the arts. I love music, but I've never experienced this before. What would the experience be like for them? Walk us through an upcoming show that they need to absolutely put on their calendar.
Well, okay, let's do that. So Grand Center is busy, people.
In the best way.
In the best way. We are, a block away from the Symphony, a block away from the Sheldon, adjacent to the Fox. So come early if you can, is the first step. We start a show at 7:30. It is not a wise choice to think that you can
you're
arrive.
Walking in at 7:30.
Right.
7:25.
Right. I say all this to say be prepared for the journey, because all of the shows start around the time. And you have thousands of people at that point trying to get within 2 blocks of each other. And that's a wonderful thing to have all that activity. But be prepared for the show. So come down, find a parking space. You walk in the club, you see a beautiful venue. You see a space that allows you to not be far from the entertainer. So if you've never been to Jazz St. Louis, know that you really don't have a bad seat, that you will be in a spot where you'll get to, see the performer and feel them in a way that's natural, right? That you're not seemingly so far away. It's
a
not
much different experience than a concert at wherever.
The Sheldon or the Fox.
Or I'm thinking even bigger.
Right.
Right. If you're picturing you're going to a concert at Enterprise Center, this is not that.
This is not that. We have 204 seats, basically.
I love that. The intimacy is such a large piece of this.
Hey, we don't get to where we are without it, I don't think. In terms of what Jazz St. Louis means to people and what they feel when they leave having seen a concert there because of that intimacy, just like you just mentioned. You get to be right there. You feel as if you're almost right on stage because some of the seats are literally almost right on stage. And that's the way it was in the old club. So I'm glad that we get to continue that tradition. So you get to see this performance, you get to live it, you can eat, you can drink, you can have a good time. There is no age requirement or limit. So parents can bring kids, you know, kids can bring parents. Whatever the
like
case.
that, right?
Maybe.
You guys have an incredible lineup this season, the 30th year. I mean, I imagine creating that, was a big undertaking. This month, Women's History Month. Talk to us about women in jazz. We know men have played a really large role in jazz, but talk to us this month. You really are highlighting women in jazz.
Yeah. So the goal for this 30th anniversary season, March being Women's History Month, is to have March programming be entirely women.
Love that.
To be driven and led by women. And so that was intentional, and I'm glad that we did, and we've been having a great time. So women, the average is 27%, right?
Okay.
Make up this industry, this genre of music. That's not a lot, right? It's certainly more than it used to be. The doors of opportunity are more open in performance, in education, in administration, and all of these things, as well as should be, because we should broaden the social and cultural impact of that, and we do that by being inclusive, by having multiple perspectives involved in it, and like a lot of things, it's been hyper masculine, without a doubt, but we can't continue in that way. That's not how the world should continue, and so we wanted to be very, very clear that this March, this is what we would be doing, and this will be putting forward. And there've been some great shows, some great audiences.
When you look ahead to the rest of the season, what excites you? What is coming down the pipeline? What is coming to the stage that is really exciting to you?
So this month in March, at the end of March, we'll have Sherelle Cassidy. She'll be closing out Women's History Month for us. We'll have Anita Jackson before that, Claire Maui, who was a former Jazz U student, one of our education students.
That must be cool to get to witness that. I don't want to say circle of life, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah, this circle. I'm just going to start singing some Lion King here.
The circle of life.
But yeah, to witness somebody come through the program and then come back around. I mean, what a cool opportunity.
It is. I mean, and that's why it exists. It doesn't, we are not necessarily trying to train the next jazz musician as much as we're trying to help young people be great leaders, right? Now, some of them will go on to be musicians like Claire. Someone will go on to be whatever profession they choose. Most important is that within that, they are supportive of this music because we will need them in the future. So it's amazing to see Claire get on stage and see the growth that has happened throughout the years, and then see her leading her own ensemble, see her becoming her own musician in this town and in the landscape. So that's an amazing thing. After that, we'll have Miles in May.
Okay. Yeah. So big year for Miles Davis.
It's 100th year anniversary of his birth. So, and Miles Davis is from East St. Louis and Alton. He was born in Alton, but I say East St. Louis first.
We'll go with that. Yeah. If you're talking to people on the Missouri side, anything on the other side of the river is all the same anyway.
Oh, and that's so sad. It's not true.
We love our Illinois side. There's so much to do on
There's no St. Louis without the Illinois
100%.
side.
We are a bi-state community. 100%. We are. We really are. It's just a river, folks. You can cross it.
Please cross it.
So many people might not know that, though. Like, there's probably a lot of people maybe listening that didn't know that Miles Davis was from right around here. Do you think that's true? Yeah.
I don't know that answer because the people that I know.
You're like, people in my circle know.
People in my circle know. But I would imagine so, right? If you're not a jazz fan and you don't know the history of the music and you don't know important figures within it, you would not know about Miles Davis, first of all, and then wouldn't necessarily know that he's right from this area, that right across the river.
So how are you guys going to celebrate that century of his contributions to not only jazz, but music as a whole?
Well, throughout the entire season, we featured trumpeters, we've had Miles themed bass shows, and we've had 4 Whitaker jazz series that explored Miles Davis throughout periods of his life, which are free at no cost community engagement events that feature a lecture and performance.
Oh, cool.
So you can check all that out on the website. Not only, and then in May, where his actual birthday is, we have Miles Electric Band who's coming. We have Miles's birthday actually happening on his birthday and subsequent days after. Terrell Stafford is headlining that. That's going to be an amazing show. So you can check all of this out on the website. I don't have the exact dates in my head, but please check it out. Please come out because you won't want to miss this. If you're a Miles Davis fan, if you want to learn more about Miles Davis, if you just want to see good music, this is it.
When you think about someone like Miles Davis and growing up right in your backyard and then getting to be a part of celebrating him and educating a new generation about him, what does that mean to you?
It's amazing. So I went to East St. Louis Lincoln Senior High School, which is where Miles went. So he was a student there. So for me, and my band director was Ronald Carter. He was an amazing jazz educator that is famous in his own right. He did a lot of things for the education programs at Jazz and Lincoln Center there at the beginning of a lot of that. And so I was very privileged to have someone like that and to honestly get to travel a lot through the country in my high school years. So at one time, not while I was there, before I got there, it was the #1 high school jazz band in the nation.
Wow.
So from California to Florida, I was able to travel, when I was in high school and see so much of the world while exploring the legacy of Miles Davis, right? I mean, we were days on end, we were talked to about how important he was, and then subsequently how important we are to the evolution of this music, So Miles means a great deal to me because it is someone, although I didn't know him, he is someone that grew up in the community that I did. I can go by the home in which he was born and raised. I can see that. I can talk to family members of his. I can talk to people who were contemporaries of his that are all in this area.
Yeah.
So getting to understand that and understand how important that is, and then where he fits within the history of jazz and the movement, like the intersection that he has through so many, of these pieces of it. That's St. Louis.
When you think about jazz and we talk about the next generation, how do you see the evolution of this music continue, of this genre continue, and ensure that it carries on and doesn't become more of just a historic genre? How do you see that for the future?
Well, I can't predict how it'll go.
Oh, you can't predict the future? Oh, well, what are you doing here?
What are you doing here? Which is to say, the music will evolve how it evolves. I mean, that's the beauty of evolution. We don't know what's going to happen. How we help preserve that is we continue to do what we're doing in terms of being in the community and getting the word out and letting people know that this is the place from which you can experience world-class music.
Yeah.
Jazz. This is the place in which it belongs to you because you deserve the best. St. Louis deserves to hear the best. St. Louis deserves to experience the best because St. Louis has been a part of the best. And so within that, within the performance aspect, that's it. Within the education aspect, that's these artists that come into town, they interact with our students. They interact with our region. It's written into the contract that they need to do this. Right? Right. That's a piece of it. So that not only do we have these performances, but the artists that come in are having to interact with the students, having the students get to see themselves on stage, whatever the situation is.
How have you seen jazz grow and evolve in your lifetime as a jazz musician? When you look at, what you learned as a kid playing the piano, what you learned in high school jazz band to what you see now on stage, has it evolved? Has it changed? What do you think?
It has, who I studied when I was younger are told to study, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of that remains the same for students now, but then they also have a brand new crop of people that they can listen to that has happened, right, over the last 30 years. But also the ways in which they engage in content is different. For me, when I was a kid, you had to listen to a record.
Yeah.
You had to listen to a CD. And you had to transcribe, which is I had to attempt to figure out what they were doing and play it for myself, right? I couldn't see it on a YouTube link.
Right.
Right. I couldn't slow it down on a YouTube clip or TikTok clip.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a way different learning experience now.
Yeah, it's a way different learning experience now. All the resources that are available now, including the programs that exist at Jazz St. Louis, did not exist when I was a kid. So it's the landscape has changed. The landscape is different. How we learn is different in a lot of ways. The phone, right? You know, all of these things are different. I don't know what it would be like if I grew up now. I'm glad I grew up when I did. That's what
I'm sure you would
say.
figure out those TikTok links real easily.
They get harder and harder the older I get. I'm telling you.
What is someone who's listening, that is like, wow, okay, I want to learn more about jazz. Who are some, instrumental figures that somebody should look up to give themselves a little introduction to jazz?
Well, I'm going to say Miles Davis.
I feel like that's got to be the top answer, right?
Got to be. Clark Terry, Melba Liston. Those are three names specifically to St. Louis, in this area, Missouri. Melba Liston was Kansas City. But you're looking Count Basie. That was a big Kansas City connection. So Duke Ellington. We have Oscar Peterson. We have Freddie Hubbard. We have Charlie Parker. We have John Coltrane, Cannonball Adderley, J.J. Johnson.
The list can go on. There's so many.
There's so many.
And I think that's the beauty of music is, you can decide today, you know what? I think I'm going to listen to some jazz and introduce yourself to something new and then come see it in person.
Come see it in person. That's really what it is.
I mean, you're going to probably get a much different experience watching it right there in that intimate setting versus just seeing something on YouTube.
It's always better in person. I don't care what it is. I don't care who you are, to be in the room when the thing is happening. I
heard somebody say that's a line somewhere. Be in the room where it happens.
Be in the room where you can't make that feeling up. You cannot make the synergy that's going on up.
St. Louis is an incredible arts town. You guys are right there at the heart of Grand Center. I don't remember the actual numbers, but when we look at arts tourism in St. Louis, the numbers are huge that our arts institutions bring into St. Louis. How do you hope that continues? And how do you see the arts as, yes, St. Louis, we got sports teams, whether they're good now or not, this is a whole nother story. But, what we do have is really incredible art. What does it mean to you to be a part of that, cultural tourism that continues to put St. Louis on a map?
Well, it's just like you said, the arts are always a winner.
There we go.
From season to season, from year to year, the arts. We don't lose in this town, regardless of the institution, regardless of the style of music. So how do we see ourselves? I mean, we are cultural ambassadors, all of these organizations. Jazz St. Louis is right up there. We get to put the best foot in St. Louis's best foot forward every time we do. And like I said before, it's because St. Louis deserves it. Every recognition that Jazz St. Louis has ever gotten, it belongs really to the city, it belongs really to the region, because it doesn't happen without the people. It doesn't happen without the largesse of donors, without the season ticket sales, without the individual ticket sales, which can eclipse the season, right? So that's not just loyal customers, that's just people who wake up every day and want to come see a show. So we put the best foot forward because we have to.
All right, we'll include the entire calendar for Jazz St. Louis in the description of this week's episode. For now, here's what's happening in the Lou this week. This week at Jazz St. Louis is Cheryl Cassidy's Alliance, March 25th through the 29th. Thursday is Cardinals opening day at Busch Stadium, March 26th. Friday night, March 27th, is CWE Gallery Night. This Saturday, March 28th, the Missouri Botanical Gardens Children's Garden opens for the season. This is always one of our family favorites. And Saturday, March 28th, is Shamrock and Roll in Shaw Park, a free St. Patrick's Day event. All right, follow along on social media. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at What's New in the Lou podcast. And don't forget to subscribe so you know exactly when our newest episodes drop. As always, thanks so much for listening.